So BRP was in the ATV business for several years and struggling as the seventh player in an industry of seven. We had a Trackster, which was a utility model, a very, very good machine, but quite frankly, not one that anybody had their hearts into it. Selling it was not something that we were finding easy to promote, market, advertise. We realized that we were going to stay seven if we were not changing something fundamental about our brand positioning and our product positioning. But for that, the brand Bombardier ATV was just not carrying those emotions. So we needed to find something where the brand would carry an emotion that immediately the consumer would grasp and understand what it is. We had a brand of dirt bike in the 70s and 80s, Can-Am, which was extremely successful. You know that the year that the Can-Am dirt bikes were launched, they won bronze, silver, and gold in several races. The second year, they won the AMA championship. Again, number 3, number 2, number 1. Can-Am was a successful brand right at the beginning in dirt bikes, made history in motorcycling. I want to talk about my little decal story because, you know, we were changing the brand on existing products, and the Outlander in the rear fender had a recess where we had a decal written Bombardier. And Bombardier is a fairly long name, so the recess was about that long. And we're transitioning to Can-Am. It's a very short name, and the recess is made, it's built there. We can't change it until we change, you know, new platform, new molds. So we had to fit a very small name in a very big space. So the designers really didn't like that one too much. Worked very hard at, you know, proportions so that it didn't look too bad. But these decals ended up in the hands of all dealers. We gave them decals so that they can change vehicles that they had in stock. And they gave decals to consumers so that they can change the decals of the vehicle they already own. So the launch took place in May of 2006, announced the new lineup, announced the change. And we were back then, like I mentioned before, we were seventh player in an industry of seventh. And in 2012 now, we're number 1, number 2 in Canada, number 4 in the US. In fact, last month in October, in some states in the Northwest USA, we became number 3 for the first time in history. I think it's a huge success story for everybody that participated in the rebirth of Can-Am.
Just talking a bit about Spyder and where this came from. And Denis Lapointe would, of course, be the best person to give more of the story about the advent, because Denis, very, very much in line with the core values of BRP, particularly innovation, had challenged his team to think differently at a design conference that they had an offsite about a vehicle that would be able to go on road, but would not be a traditional two-wheel vehicle. And so he really got them to think out of the box. And that was the first time that this idea, this seed was planted for Spyder. It's the baby of a lot of people in the company, and a lot of people feel a lot of ownership around that. And so my involvement started in 2004. And at the time, it wasn't sure what was going to happen with Spyder because the product, the team was trying to reduce the weight of it. It had a lot of weight to drop. It had a lot of cost to drop. And we hadn't really proven whether this product to ourselves was going to make it in the world. Yet a lot of people believed in the product. And with something like Spyder, it's a new category, and you have to first believe in it and try to see where it can go. Because if you just simply go out and before you develop it, if you ask customers what they want, they'll never tell you they want a Spyder. You have to go out and be able to have that, the guts, the determination to go and try something new. Obviously, the development teams worked very hard on the product concept and eventually managed to get a product that really was top-notch, something that we can be proud of on the world stage. In that time period, we had some absolute wow moments where you had consumers, when we would go to tests, who would be, some of them, emotional in terms of smiles and happy. They couldn't believe what they'd seen. They would go out on the open road and they'd have people waving at them. You even have some people who came back emotional, as in almost in tears, because, and in the words of one man, he said, "I'm 52 years old, I'm overweight, but now people are paying attention to me." And that was something very, very special. You could see that we made an emotional connection with someone. As an example of that, we had the Wall Street Journal reporter when we had a chance for the Wall Street Journal to test it. This fellow gets, as he said himself, he said, "I get to ride any car I want to work. I can drive a Maserati, I can drive a Ferrari, I can drive vintage cars." And he said, "I have never had the looks coming into work and the smiles and the thumbs up that I did with Spyder." It was incredible. And so at that point in time, we really, really knew that we had something. We spent the next year focused only on how to launch the product, because of course this is an entirely new category of product. People haven't seen this before, they haven't experienced it. And I started off at that point in time with this notion of trying to inspire our team to realize that how many times in life will we ever get the opportunity to create a new category? So we came up with a different sequence to be able to launch it, starting with our club. We had a club in San Diego, California, at Miramar Air Force Base. We got Jay Leno for the launch. Jay Leno had been there and had tried the product, and then he rode out on stage on a Spyder. It was fantastic. We also had the opportunity, though, a week before the launch to have New York Times try the vehicle. And so we got a highlight article in the New York Times just as we were launching the product. And then we had different experiences as we rolled out the product with trials, getting trials out around the world, getting people to experience it, getting dealers to understand about the product, and truly had what I would describe as a wow launch. The coverage, the articles, the number of news stories we had. We should really, truly be proud of what we have, of what we've created as a team, and of the future. And this should be a source of, frankly, inspiration for us. When you've created a market-shaping product, it just gets you to want to do more, because the next opportunity could even be bigger. And that, for me, are the messages from Spyder.
We worked on the Commander for years, to be honest with you. Rhino was launched, which is the Yamaha product. It was in the market. It was an opportunity for BRP also, to sell something like that. However, we didn't want to do anything like the Rhino. We had to make sure we had the best product out there. So, and when we say best product, it's pretty clear. Can-Am stands for performance, handling, fit and finish, ergonomic, and design. We had to say yes on all of those before we say, you know what, go and let's launch a product. When we had to go and we had the right formula, this is where, the whole team got excited. We had the product, we produced it, and we create a major event because that was the launch of it. So imagine that you're in a room, you have all the journalists around the world watching a stage with something big there with a cover on it, okay? For sure they were expecting something because, for years they asked us, hey, when are you gonna launch a side-by-side? That was the night. And talam, we took the cover off and videos, music, and all the journalists start clapping. They look at it, it was yellow because, it's Bombardier, it's BRP, I should say. That was all right. And they look at the design, it was like stunning, okay? And right after, the intro, we told them the horsepower, okay? They look at it, oh my God, there's nothing like it right now in the marketplace. For sure, this is what they were expecting from Can-Am, but it was even more. Early in the morning, everybody was outside, all the journalists. They took a bus. We went to a place close to the Chateau Montebello, and all the units were there, all brand new, shiny, yellow. All the journalists, start running. We gave them the keys. We said, have fun, try it, push it. this is who we are. We're trusting you, have fun. They were like ecstatic. But to look at those guys being so excited about it, we said, thumbs up, we succeed. A few months after, a few weeks after, I don't recall. But you see all those articles and say, BRP just raised the bar of a side-by-side. I mean, that was something. That was pretty cool, to launch the Commander. But guess what? At BRP, we moved fast. And we had another product, a sports side-by-side called the Maverick. So we did a teaser campaign. So it's pretty exciting, to put something on the internet, say, you know what? Come to this event, 7 o'clock Friday night, Can-Am will launch a new vehicle. We also invited, because our consumers are key, we invited all the Can-Am owners around that place. 150 miles, if I recall correctly, around that Sand Sports Super Show. We said, come to the booth, it's free of charge. You don't need to pay the entry fee. They came. We had a lot of people around the booth at 6:30, waiting. They wanted to be in the front. We took the cover off at 7 o'clock. Everybody looked at the vehicle like, wow. They don't know the HP yet. We start the video. We show the HP of the unit, which is way better than anybody else, any competitors. And guess what? We are BRP. So we show our performance versus Polaris. We are in the front. We show the performance versus the Arctic Cat. We are in the front. We show the handling. People look at those videos and say, wow, this unit is awesome, way better than the competitions. So the fun part for me was looking at the face of the consumers, and I knew, because of their t-shirt or whatever, because I was listening, some of them were owning a Polaris. And some said, oh, I think I need to change my unit.